I'm going to quote Tad on this one, and then I'll let you guys go, because Tad said something funny yesterday, which I thought was pretty good. He said, if you wink at the audience one time in that kind of movie, it falls the fuck apart. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was interesting about this movie, one of the reasons I enjoyed watching it, was at no point do these characters ever betray that they think they're in the movie that they're in. They're going to keep doing the fuck. They're going to like come through the door of like, this is a dry parlor. I'm not even going to say parlor comedy. This is a dry parlor drama, blah, blah, blah. Nothing happens. And then every once in a while, the director is definitely fucking with you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
Fernando Rey,
I think about when this came out. I don't know what you want to put in the surrealist box, or like Sandy's been making me go through. She's a huge fan of this guy, like way before, like when we started dating, she was watching this guy's movies. Oh, yeah. And I was reading some of this shit, like the Dadaist, like she's been talking to me about all this all weekend, like whether it's surrealist or absurdist or whatever. There's this movie that keeps getting attacked by another weirder movie. Mm-hmm. And the characters behind me are acting like they don't realize this, and I love that for it.
Well, that's the thing. If you use some social politics kind of thing, the Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, these guys are bourgeoisie. They are in their own little world, their own circle. They're all about, and the film is wonderful because all these guys want to do is sit down and have a nice dinner. That's all they want. And the whole film is just being thwarted as it goes from one end to the other. Something always happens to stop it.
More extreme and
more extreme and weirder and weirder and weirder until the end. That them walking down the road is like.
So here's Gloom Girl's. This is what Gloom Girl said.
Okay, here's the theory.
She's like, I think they're dead. I think this is purgatory.
Possibly, ties to
the scene in Monty Python, the salmon moose.
Yeah,
right.
No, ties
they don't realize they're dead yet.
Yeah.
So ties into a car.
This is ties to no exit, maybe.
So it lampshades.
Feels a lot like no exit.
It lampshades that when the Monsignor tries to talk to them about what heaven is like. When the sergeant tells his story at the dinner party, he tries to tell them that like in heaven you meet people you used to know and stuff like that, and they basically just ignore it and move on. And they probably are, or they were never alive to begin with. Like it's one of those.
It's a rather empty existence.
Yeah,
that they're having.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's one of the main comments of the whole movie.
Yeah. No, it's felt aligned with, David Lynch uses transcendental meditation to kind of write his stories, and that subconscious stream of illogic that's logical, we get illogical, runs through this whole thing. I think it's closely related to like Eraserhead in terms of a lot of things happen in that film that don't.
And there's weird turkeys.
And there's weird turkeys, exactly. Right. So there's a lot of strange things happening. And there's a dream logic that pervades the entire film that's just delightful.
No, that's what,
when those chickens fell off that platter, I was like, what the fuck is with these rubber chickens? You're a better filmmaker than this. And then it turns out they're on a set. And I'm like, all right, fine.
You know what I was actually giveaway? This movie is lit like the first two Blake Edwards Pink Panther movies.
Yeah.
Like it's really overlit. The sets are like just barely betray their art.
Yeah, the backdrops are phony looking. The lighting is too flat.
It's a Dick Van Dyke episode, but in color.
Yeah.
I know it forced you guys all to see Too Many Cooks, that thing that Adult Swim did a couple years ago.
I saw that when it happened, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. But nonetheless, that's.
Is that one that just keeps going and going and going?
Yes.
And going?
Yeah. Never resolved.
It's WandaVision, but in the William Street universe.
Only good.
What I realized is that this movie inspired a lot of the other movies that I really like. I read somewhere that John Landis completely ripped off the American Wealth in London Dream Within a Dream thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but Buñuel said that this was based on, dreams he had and then dreams friends had told him about.
Right.
It felt like it. But next,
however, I will bring up a thing that I have said many times in my life, which is I used to think that the most boring thing that anyone could say to you is, let me tell you about this dream I had.
Oh yeah.
But now I know it's let me tell you about my fantasy football team. But it's but yeah, it's like
And those are literally the best parts of this movie.
I wanted to like this movie more than I ended up liking it. And the reasons that I have issues with it have mostly to do with things like this. This is a transitional shot in the very beginning of the movie when they show up at that guy's house the first time.
Right.
They do a rack zoom and a zoom in at the same time, and they blur it out and they blur it back in as they come back into the next scene, and they do a reverse. They do the dolly back and the rack zoom.
I don't even remember that.
And then there's another one where they're all going to sit down at the table, and the dark short-haired woman is talking to them, and then it cuts in the middle of what she's saying and cuts back to her standing at the head of the table with everyone else. And there's no other cuts in the movie that are like that, and it just threw me out of the movie. It was just one of those things.
According to this book, this is the anti-Mikey and Nikki, in that Elaine May shot 1.4 million feet of film. And
he shot 10 minutes of film, and
all of his edits were in camera. And there's a quote in this book, which is there was an argument after the fact about whether this movie took a day or a day and a half to edit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
and
so it's all in camera.
You know, that for me, it threw me at multiple points in the movie where I just got pulled straight out of the film. And it was just like,
but I think Louis,
you're a better
Buñuel
director than this. This is yeah, he is.
Is he a good director, or is he a good?
No, he's a better director than this.
I think he's an idea guy. I don't think he's a director.
Yes,
I was going to say he's an artist.
And those transitions are evidence.
Okay, he's a better artist than this.
No,
like, this is the thing.
This is a Brian De Palma argument.
That's craft.
This is the thing you do in your first movie when you don't know how to cut things together.
Oh, no,
this is not the thing that you do in your fifth movie when you're successful. Like it's just one of those things where you're making this surreal. Yeah, you're making this surrealist thing that is in a lot of ways really interesting and cool, but if you can't carry me along through it without pulling me out of the movie with your editing and directing choices, you're gonna lose me.
Well, I didn't have
that. And I had to watch this over 2 days. I watched the first like 45 minutes of it, and then I came back, and I definitely think the second half of this movie is way better than the first half.
I agree with that.
That's because you were probably invested at that point. I'm just saying that like,
it just starts getting
no, it gets funny. There's actually funny shit in the back half.
I think it takes a while to get used to the cadence of illogic of this film.
Yeah.
Like you're watching it and you're expecting something serious to happen. Like with the cocaine.
If I'd been high watching this, I would know what.
After a while,
the cocaine scene is the best part of the first half of the movie.
But it's also illogical. The thing is,
but it adds up to nothing.
It adds up to
no, but it's hilarious. Him going
like
at the window with the gun, and he shoots the dog, and then he just puts the gun away, and they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "She's a terrorist." Anyway, look at all this cocaine I have.
I know.
Right.
But like I said, it takes a narrative like a real. You think you're going to see a story with a beginning, middle, end narrative. Starts with that feeling and then breaks it down. By the halfway mark, you are in this luminous, illogical world where you're never going to get
a destruction derby where it just keeps
for anything that happens in this film. You're never gonna. It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
you're constantly frustrated by the turn of events.
Oh, the final scene, the shit that's behind John, where they all get shot, and then they're like, "Where the fuck is the other guy?" And he puts his hand out to get the fucking lamb.
Oh, that's the best.
So fucking funny.
Yeah, that's great.
Because there's all the shit about the lamb before that. There's her talking about 20 minutes per pound, and then talking about how he just stands up to cut the lamb.
This entire movie.
No, none of them have. That's the
None of them
point.
ever get to eat a meal
Never
until at that last scene where he's in the kitchen just pulling leftovers out of the fridge.
I know. It's
shoving
like,
them in his mouth.
I need to eat something. This is getting ridiculous. Yeah, but yeah, it's good stuff. Also, her, Bourgeoisie.
I like her.
Yeah, she ends up a couple years later in the movie Mistress or Maitresse. Yeah, good stuff. That's Barbette Schroeder's first film.
Oh, is it?
I really found
Plays dominatrix. She nails some guy's dick to a board. It's
whoa. I found I think her name was Alice, but
We're not kink shaming here.
The short hair brunette woman I found just incredibly
Yes.
sexy.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Super sexy.
Yeah.
Also, this.
Oh
Yeah.
that was great.
So good.
There's it happens twice, and then it goes back to the police station, and it happens again.
Yeah.
No, that's
Ted,
the whole.
By
That's
that point, I'm like, oh, he's just fucking with us now.
No, that's that
Oh, yeah.
Simpsons dream sequence where Homer invents something that's gonna make $1 million. What do you got there? Oh, I can't show it to you. It's in here. It's like it's great. There's a
Ted, I got something to say about that, and that is, I think the key to understanding this movie is
There's the clip.
That is probably. Oh,
If only his
your
mic
thing
had
would've
picked
worked.
up more of that.
is that
your
the
thing
is that the
would've worked.
loudspeaker I got you? The bullhorn I got you? So that's your name?
Yeah, I've still got mine. Want me to go
yeah,
get it?
the batteries are almost dead.
Oh.
Well, you can dub, Scott. You can dub in a better siren effect.
I will
for that.
definitely do that, yes.
Just get the airplane noises.
Okay, I
Yeah,
will.
dude. Yeah, get the airplane.
I live near SFO. It's not hard to do.
Actually, half of this entire review should just be occasionally interrupted by airplane
I
noises.
like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Where we never actually get to review the film. We just kept
Right.
talking about.
It's just been on my list for a really long time. I'd never seen it. And
You know,
it's like,
same
oh shit,
here.
there it is.
I thought,
this
you know
is-
what?
this
I
is kinda
thought I
part of
saw,
a-
but I actually saw Phantom of Liberty, which is a different film.
Yeah, but this is kind of part of a trilogy. It's this one,
Phantom of
Phantom of
Liberty,
Liberty.
or Cinderella Liberty.
No, the
No,
Phantom,
it's,
the Phantom Libert.
Yeah, it's the Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, Phantom of Liberty, and that obscure object of desire.
That was like,
Yeah, which is really straightforward, actually. This isn't surreal at
I
all.
saw all three of them in college, so I hadn't seen this since college, and it was really fun to
Also,
watch it again.
I don't know about you, but you know, film school, Buñuel was my man.
Yeah, film school, they just really talk this guy up, and you read a lot about him, and you watch the films, and you've never seen anything like it. And then but you know, it's funny, in film school, I didn't realize that this actually won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film.
Yeah.
And
it was
Buñuel
nominated for
didn't
Best
show up to
Screenplay.
collect.
he did not. Someone
Also,
showed up.
But
in a
they
wig
made
or
him
something.
take a picture with the Oscar, and he wore giant sunglasses and a wig.
Yes.
So with the,
He's
True
also
story.
like, he's also on record. He's kind of like one of those pricks who's like, when they asked him, you know, who like about his actors or who gave the best performance, he said the cockroaches.
yeah.
Yes, he did.
Oh, that
That
was
is
good. That was
correct.
good.
That was in this book.
Yeah.
Also, that is another very funny part where they're just like closing the lid of the piano on him.
Piano torture.
They're just like,
Let's have him play the
How
piano.
great is the entire scene where the priest goes to give last rites to the guy,
Oh yeah.
finds out.
Oh God, that was nuts.
Dad, and then picks up the shotgun and shoots. him.
it shouldn't have cut back to the pan up his body
With
where
the
you
blood.
just see that
Yeah,
they
you didn't
put-
need the blood shot.
but also they just put like ketchup on his face.
Pretty much.
Like
yeah,
There's
yeah.
no damage.
no, the dead father has way more fucking like
Yeah.
gore
Yeah,
on
yeah.
him.
I
And
might
it's like
also-
this dude just got shot with a shotgun from like half a room away, and
Yeah.
his
It'd be faster.
entire death is like I poured some Kool-Aid on my face.
Now, mind you, that this film, again, it started out fairly. I thought it was just kind of a weird French narrative that maybe I'm not getting it because I'm not French. I don't know what's happening
Yes,
really.
that-
But the part
me
where
too.
the Monsignor says, "I want to be hired on as your gardener," you know,
Yeah, that was
it's like-
awesome.
and I was like, okay.
No, when he leaves and he comes back,
Back as a
in
gardener.
the Monsignor
I know,
outfit,
right.
and
Then I
he's
realized
like,
that-
no, I still want to be your gardener.
I know. At that point, I realized I was definitely on a roller coaster ride.
Can you imagine watching this movie high?
Oh, I would love to see this film high.
Can you imagine like how it would fuck with your head even worse if you were like stoned watching this, trying to figure out, like trying to track what was going on?
The thing about the humor in this thing is like, I know it's supposed to be, surrealist and intellectual or whatever, but it's also really kind of lowbrow too.
Yeah.
It
is
She
slapstick
said at the
almost.
beginning, when they were like the couple who were hosting the dinner were not there because they were out in the bushes having sex.
Yeah.
And then they're sneaking under the windows and climbing down a trellis and stuff. It was like, she was like, this was like French Faulty Towers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Also,
but
Towers is
I
amazing,
think
so
that
I
the
don't.
second half is better than the first half.
And
Also-
I think the whole thing is making fun
Guess
of
what?
the
I have a clip
bourgeois.
for that.
It's making fun of the bourgeois in
There
so
you
many
go.
ways, but one of the main ways is like the bourgeois are like, I think he's also submitting that the bourgeois are not as smart as they think they are.
Yeah. Oh, that bit where they talk about making the martini, which is actually really great about how to make martinis. And they bring the chauffeur in.
Oh,
Yeah.
dick
Oh, yeah.
move, dick move.
A dick move. That was pure social commentary. That was
They
like,
brought the chauffeur in just to show him, to give him a drink so they could prove that he would drink it incorrectly.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
Okay,
then
you
immediately
can
leave and
go.
get in the car. I just
I
want to
know
point that
that's
out.
fucked up. But they kept doing that. They kept getting in the car.
Then I hated them all.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they
Then I
weren't.
hated them all. I just
The
wanted them
first time,
dead.
actually, one of the first good reveals, of course, is when they're at that little restaurant and there's a funeral taking place in the same.
Oh,
That
the
guy in the
wake,
back.
the wake in the back room. I've been to an Irish
that's really
bar.
when you
I've
know
been
what
to
you're
an
in
Irish
for,
bar where
like-
they were doing that on the pool
No,
table.
but you're making my point, which is it's just a weird, like it's like an episode of Mr. Bill, where it's like you've got these people behind me,
Mhm.
they're Mr. Bill, and
Right.
the movie's just going to keep putting them in situations and whacking them with a hammer,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and then they come out of the situation and they've got the same fucking expression on their face that they did a minute ago, and
Right.
then they're going to go to the next situation, get whacked with a different hammer.
Right.
Every
And
so
I
often they
just
are
found that
terrified. the
funnier and
police are coming.
funnier every time it happened.
That's
And
true.
what's- And another thing that's really fascinating about this style is that no matter what happens to them, nobody gets upset, angry, overreacts, yells, shouts, nothing. They
Right.
all are still
Or
so polite.
reacts at all.
Yeah, they're
really.
just all still so polite. Everything is with a nod and a smile. Everything
They're
is with-
incapable of feeling
No,
those emotions.
That's
Yeah,
bourgeois
exactly.
The
politeness.
scene,
That's
the scene
manners.
where Fernando Rey is getting into it with that guy who's basically like your country's full of animals.
Oh, I love when they were giving him shit about his country the whole time.
I know.
And again, it's like
yeah.
it's the most polite. Fuck you. Fuck
Yeah.
no. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Although he does then take a 38 out of his pocket.
Right, no,
Shoot
that's
him,
what-
yeah.
but
It's
up
all
until
about
that
the
point,
animal
like,
But that's
instinct.
part of the style and the humor is that like
Yeah.
nobody has any emotion in
Unflappable.
this.
Right.
unflappable or oblivious.
That's true. And when do you want John? When do you want Jim's thing?
Let's do it.
Bring it.
All
All right, here we go. Hold on. I got to change lighting again. Hold on.
You've
Okay.
probably seen it already.
No, this is good. See, it's lightning.
Well, I'm sure he has.
All right. There is a Yiddish saying, man plans, God laughs. Buñuel would have appreciated that. What with his Jesuit schooling? A French army colonel extols the calming effects of marijuana, while the cocaine smuggling foreign ambassador disdains the use of drugs. Fernando Rey also plays the heroin smuggler in The French Connection. He's playing the same character. That's just
Came out same year.
That's what
Yeah.
happens.
Year later.
yeah. A bishop gardens
He's
for rich
from
people.
Miranda.
Yeah, a bishop gardens for rich people with a country estate, but he thinks it's only fair that he gets a union rate. People constantly interrupt the ongoing exegesis with their Freudian the now dreams. Buñuel's film is old school
Exegesis.
surrealism with a dash of post-May 68 Dada thrown in for seasoning. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I watched this film about 2 months ago after the co-writer, Carrier, had passed on. I liked it even better this time. Luis had done all this before, especially with the Exterminating Angel. They're the bourgeois dinner party guests are frustrated by not being able to leave. They end up eating spoiled food and shitting in ornate vases. Desire is thwarted at every opportunity by his own obscure objects.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
another. Speaking of shitting in vases, I forget if it's Object of Desire or
Speaking
Phantom of
of.
Liberty, but there's another scene in a Buñuel film where everyone's a big party like that is seated around a table, but the seats are toilets. The
Well,
chairs are
that's
toilets.
that's the obscure. No, that's the other one. That's the Phantom of Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I thought this was, and that's like good
Yeah.
stuff. Anyway,
When I saw the year of production for this, I was like, how old was Buñuel when he made this film?
Like 80.
yeah.
Right.
Like he'd been making movies since the 20s.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
made he was because he was actually almost retired
He's
before
in
he made this.
Unshenandalu.
That was
Yeah.
20. Was it 26?
He didn't want to make. He was
1926, yeah.
apparently he was really discouraged and he didn't want to make any more films. He thought he had done everything.
Yeah, he
And
was
then-
afraid he was repeating himself, and then he made a movie about repeating himself.
Right.
But
But then also he heard, I guess his friend told him a story or told him a dream, and about
Yeah.
repetition, and it sparked this. And then he thought of his own dreams, so he did this, and he did the 2 more after this.
And the dreams are pretty haunting. The one Tad also tweeted about yesterday about heaven needs better matte painters.
Yeah.
Because
You mean the one where she's like
this
the army
with this
person and his girlfriend, and like it's clearly a painted background?
That was odd.
Very weird, man.
Yes. Yeah. And he
There's
was
a
like,
lot of this movie is
how
really
long
You
have you
follow
been
your
here?
dead cousin into a house full of cobwebs.
Yeah, but that was good.
Right,
stuff.
right, exactly.
I
I
love
just
how
got
that
here.
kid
How long
just-
have you been here?
I love how that kid
6
just comes
years.
over and he's
How
like,
long
if
will
I
you
may
be
tell you
here?
a story.
Forever.
But that's,
The horror elements were pretty scary.
Yeah, they were.
The stuff behind Scott, that fucking was creepy as
It
hell.
was, man.
Yes.
That's
See,
the horror.
that's one of those things where I was just like, oh fuck, I don't care. Like,
Really?
Yeah,
yeah.
I got a little
That's
bit
why.
of,
That's what. I mean, that's why I made that joke on Twitter about like I'm gonna go sit with random women at a cafe and tell them about how the ghost of my mother told me to murder my stepfather. Like it just took me out of the movie. It was just like,
well,
oh, fucking,
that's
who
like
cares?
straight up Shakespeare right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, except it's your uncle and better written.
A lot
Also,
of
the shot
poisoning
of
in this movie, though.
The shot of
There's a
them
lot of
walking-
ghosts in this movie.
Yeah,
The
lot
shot
of
of them walking
poisoning
that's
and
behind
ghosts.
the shot behind Chris, though, whether they're in purgatory or just going in between the dreams, like it kind of reminded me of the final shot of Force Majeure.
Yes.
meets like the
Yes.
shot, also meets the credit sequence of Buckaroo Banzai.
Yes.
Yes.
These people are not dressed well enough to be in Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh,
God damn it.
Oh, man.
This
like,
is true. This is
there's
true.
some serious couture going on.
Mm.
Yeah, for the
that
time, they look.
But yeah, but the short-haired
Scott,
the
put
short-haired
fucking
brunette.
clips of the people walking down in Buckaroo Banzai.
I will. This will go
because-
on there. Don't worry, yes, because it's true. It's actually.
I give it a lot of credit for doing it what it did at the time that it did it, and maybe being first on a few things.
Well, you have to admit, whether you like it or not, there's really no other filmmaker that has done or was doing anything like this.
Also full
Not that I've seen.
full studio cooperation. It was fully financed by Gaumont. It was shot in Beauville. I mean, back then you could just like one studio says, "We're gonna make a surrealist film." Okay, here's $1 million francs.
No, but I mean,
What a
apparently
different
his
time,
shoot
right?
ratio
I know.
was very tight.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
His shoot ratio was very tight. I doubt he wasted
Yeah.
anybody's money. He probably came in on budget.
No, he was like a one take wonder, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
Nominated for 2 Oscars, won one.
I know. He is a full success. It really
Yeah, that
was.
was best screenplay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a screenplay somewhere in there, but it's good stuff. The thing is, I can imagine him having this all in his head, knowing what the visual and mental flow of this film was, and see how he plays it in the page. And when it gets good, when he cut it, it all just came together probably. It just,
You guys think this would work if it wasn't like a Dick Van Dyke episode in color? Like, do you think it would work in a different kind of style, like a more realistic style? Or
Like
would
if
it
somebody
work?
shot it
No.
now.
No,
No.
it just goes back to the
No.
WandaVision argument again. This
It wouldn't work, right?
No,
No, it wouldn't.
it works
wouldn't.
because it's shot like a very flat sitcom, and
yeah.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
weird shit
Uh,
comes
thi-
in and
this
they don't
guy's
know.
telling Ricky Ricardo that he can't play the club that
Yeah,
night.
I know,
Like,
pretty
it's-
much. It's a comedy of manners in a lot of ways, and the manners are
Right.
I tell you though,
Yeah, it is.
as a kid, I remember growing up in LA, and I would see the ads for this thing with the lips with the hat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I can't get my head around how the lips.
He
with the hat-
hated that, which
Yeah,
he
is
said he didn't like
reasonable.
that.
But what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some
I
poster
was kind
designer.
of waiting for the lips and the hat to show up.
No, never did. Well, Chris, just to kind
So
of
talking about that, we've talked a lot about that that wall between us and older movies, and the older
Yeah.
they get, the bigger the wall is.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's definitely a wall here in that
Yes.
we're consuming it in 2021, and we're
21,
seeing the flat lighting and the 70s and all the 70s clothing and everything. And so there's a distance, but it is a